The recording chamber was cold and dark, just like Thexnor preferred it these days. His old eyes had grown sensitive to bright lights after all these years. He sat in the metal chair, his remaining 2 arms resting on the table in front of him. The other 2 arms were gone, lost in a war that ended 40 years ago but still haunted his dreams every night. Across from him sat Krelva, a young Vrexian who never knew the war. She held a recording device in her clawed hand, her eyes full of curiosity and something else. Fear, maybe, or respect. Thexnor could not tell anymore. "Commander Thexnor," Krelva began, her voice soft and careful. "Thank you for agreeing to this interview. Many veterans refuse to speak about the human war." Thexnor made a clicking sound with his mandibles. It was almost a laugh, but not quite. "They refuse because they are afraid to remember. I refuse to forget. That is why I am here." Krelva activated the recording device. A small blue light began to blink. "Tell me about the beginning. When did you first encounter the humans?" Thexnor closed his eyes. The memories came flooding back like they always did. Clear, sharp, painful. "It was 60 years ago," he said slowly. "I was young then, strong, proud. The Vrexian Empire had conquered 17 species across the galaxy. We were the strongest military force anyone had ever seen. Our technology was superior. Our tactics were perfect. Our warriors were trained from birth." He paused and touched the deep scars across his face. "We thought we were invincible." Krelva leaned forward. "What changed your mind?" "The humans," Thexnor said simply. "We found them by accident. Their colony ships were traveling through a sector we claimed as ours. They were slow vessels carrying families and workers to new worlds. We sent ambassadors first, as we always did. We told them to submit to Vrexian rule or face destruction. What did they say?" Thexnor's mandibles trembled. "They said no, just no negotiation, no fear. They simply refused and continued on their way. The High Council was insulted. How dare these weak creatures refuse the mighty Vrexian Empire? So we went to war." He opened his eyes and looked at Krelva. "The early battles were easy, too easy. We had plasma cannons that could cut through their ship hulls like paper. We had shields that deflected their primitive missiles. We had armies that outnumbered theirs 10 to 1. We won every battle in those first months, so what went wrong?" Krelva asked. "Everything," Thexnor whispered. "And nothing. We kept winning battles, but something felt wrong. The humans never surrendered. Even when we destroyed their ships, even when we killed thousands of them, they kept fighting. They kept coming back." He stood up slowly, his legs weak with age. He walked to the small window in the chamber and stared out at the gray sky of his homeworld. "I remember my first major victory. We attacked a human mining colony called New Busan. It was on a small moon with thin atmosphere. The humans had built domed cities to live in. We thought it would be simple. Destroy the domes and the humans would have to surrender or die." Krelva was writing notes now, her claws scratching against her datapad. "What happened?" "We destroyed the domes," Thexnor said. "Our warships fired from orbit. The explosions were beautiful in a terrible way. Fire and metal and glass flying everywhere. We expected the humans to evacuate, to run to their ships and escape. That is what any intelligent species would do." He turned back to face Krelva, but the humans did not evacuate. They put on atmosphere suits and kept fighting. They used mining equipment as weapons. They set traps in the ruins. They fought us for 3 days in the wreckage of their own homes.
3 days?
"How many survived?" Krelva asked quietly. "None," Thexnor said. "We killed them all. But we lost 200 warriors doing it. 200 Vrexian soldiers to destroy one small mining colony." The victory felt hollow. Wrong. He sat back down heavily in his chair. That night I could not sleep. I kept thinking about those humans. Why did they fight when they could have run? Why did they die for a destroyed colony that was no longer worth defending? It made no tactical sense. Krelva set down her datapad. "But you continued fighting." "Of course," Thexnor said. "I was a soldier. I followed orders. And the High Council said the humans would break eventually. Every species breaks. Every species surrenders when they realize they cannot win. We just had to be patient and keep applying pressure." "Did they break?" Thexnor made that clicking sound again. This time it was definitely not a laugh. "No, they never broke. Instead, they learned. They adapted. They studied our tactics and found our weaknesses, and they did something we never expected." "What was that?" "They stopped trying to win battles," Thexnor said. "They started trying to make every battle too expensive for us to fight. They turned their colonies into fortresses. They turned their space stations into death traps. They made us pay in blood for every meter of ground we took. He looked at his missing arms, or rather at the empty space where they used to be. I lost these arms in one of those battles. But that comes later in the story. First, you need to understand what happened at Kepler Station. That was where everything changed for me. That was where I first understood what terror truly meant. Krelva picked up her datapad again. Tell me about Kepler Station. Thexner's eyes grew distant. Kepler Station was a massive human trading hub in neutral space. It was 15 years into the war. By then we had captured dozens of human colonies. We had killed millions of them. But more kept coming. Always more. The High Council decided Kepler Station was strategically important. If we captured it intact, we could use it as a forward base for deeper strikes into human territory. So they sent a fleet. 5 warships against 1 station. The odds were completely in our favor. He stood up again and began to pace, his steps slow and uneven. I was second officer on the battlecruiser Dominant Fang. Our commander was a veteran of 12 campaigns. He was confident. We all were. How could 1 station stand against 5 warships? Did the humans surrender? Krelva asked, though she already knew the answer. No, Thexnor said. Their commander was a captain named Daywan. He received our surrender demand and sent back a single-word response. Just 1 word. What word? Thexnor looked at Krelva with eyes full of old pain. He said no. Then he activated something they called Protocol Homecoming. We did not know what that meant. Not yet. He stopped pacing and stood very still. We should have run. We should have retreated the moment we heard that protocol name. But we did not know. We thought we were attacking a station. We did not realize we were walking into a tomb that the humans had prepared for us. The recording device blinked its steady blue light in the darkness. Let me tell you about Kepler Station, Thexnor said softly. Let me tell you about the day I learned that humans do not fight like any other species in the galaxy. Let me tell you about the day I learned to be afraid. Krelva waited, her claws poised over her datapad, and Thexnor began to speak. Thexnor's voice grew quieter as he remembered Kepler Station. The memories were sharp and clear, like broken glass cutting through his mind. Our fleet arrived in the sector at dawn cycle, he began. 5 warships against 1 station. The Dominant Fang led the formation. Behind us came the Crushing Claw, the Eternal Victory, the Swift Death, and the Relentless Hunter. Together we carried 5,000 warriors and enough firepower to destroy a small planet. He looked at his clawed hands. Kepler Station hung in space like a giant wheel. It was beautiful in its way. The humans built it around an asteroid for raw materials. It had docking ports for hundreds of ships, markets, homes, gardens. 50,000 humans lived there before we came. Krelva listened carefully, recording every word. Captain Daywan was in command of the station defenses. We intercepted his communications. He was calm, too calm for someone facing certain death. He ordered all civilian ships to evacuate immediately. Women, children, elderly, sick. They had 6 hours to leave. Did they all escape? Krelva asked. Most of them, Thexnor said. About 45,000 civilians got away on transport ships, but 5,000 remained. Military personnel, engineers, volunteers. They stayed to fight. He stood and walked to the window again. Outside, rain had begun to fall on the Vrexian homeworld. We thought 5,000 defenders would be easy. We had 5,000 attackers and 5 warships. The mathematics seemed simple, but mathematics does not account for human stubbornness. What happened when the evacuation was complete? Captain Daywan sent us another message. He said the civilians were safe. He thanked us for giving them time to escape. Then he said something that puzzled us. He said, "Now we can fight properly without worrying about them." And we did not understand what he meant. Thexnor turned back to face Krelva. Our commander gave the order to attack. We moved in close and demanded surrender one final time. Captain Daywan's face appeared on our screens. He was young for a human commander, maybe 40 years by their counting. He had dark hair and calm eyes. He smiled at us. He smiled? Krelva repeated. Yes. He smiled and said, "You want our station? Come and take it." Then he cut the transmission. Our commander was angry at this disrespect. He ordered the assault to begin immediately. Thexnor sat back down. His legs were tired. We sent boarding parties to 12 different docking ports, 300 warriors in the first wave. They entered the station without resistance. The docking bays were empty. The corridors were dark. Everything was quiet. He closed his eyes. Too quiet. That should have warned us. What happened to the first wave? They advanced into the station following their tactical training. They moved in formation, checking corners, securing corridors. They reported that the station seemed abandoned. Then the first trap activated. Thexnor's mandibles clicked nervously. The humans had welded blast doors throughout the station. They divided it into sections. When our warriors were deep inside, Captain Daywan sealed the sections. Our 300 warriors were split into 12 groups isolated from each other. Then the killing began. Krelva stopped writing. How? The humans knew every corridor, every room, every vent shaft in that station. They had lived there for years. They knew it like you know your own home, and they had spent 6 hours turning it into a maze of death. He opened his eyes. They were wet. Phyrexians did not cry like humans, but they could still feel pain. Explosive charges hidden in walls, atmosphere vents that opened suddenly, sucking warriors into space. Corridors that became furnaces when the humans vented plasma from the reactors, doors that crushed anyone standing beneath them. Our warriors tried to fight back, but they could not find the enemy. The humans attacked from hidden positions and disappeared before we could respond. They used the station's own systems as weapons. They controlled the lights, the gravity, the air. Krelva's voice was barely a whisper. How many did you lose in the first hour? 70 warriors dead, 90 wounded, and we had not seen more than a dozen humans. Thexnor stood again. He could not sit still when remembering Kepler Station. Our commander was furious. He sent a second wave, 500 warriors this time. He ordered them to destroy everything. If they could not capture the station intact, they would tear it apart. The second wave had better equipment. They carried heavy weapons. They blasted through the welded doors. They wore full combat armor. They moved more carefully. Did they do better? No, Thexnor said flatly. They did worse. The humans were waiting for them. A lieutenant named Hana commanded the defense of the agricultural sector. She turned the farming equipment into weapons. He walked to the wall and touched it, as if feeling the metal could bring him back to that day. The agricultural sector had irrigation systems, pipes running throughout the entire section. Lieutenant Hana had filled those pipes with industrial chemicals from the mining operations. Acids, caustics, poisons. When our warriors entered her sector, she activated the irrigation system. High-pressure sprayers designed to water crops instead sprayed acid. The chemicals ate through armor. They burned flesh. They blinded. They killed. Krelva looked sick. That is against the rules of war. Thexnor laughed bitterly. We said the same thing. Captain Daywan replied on an open channel. He said, "You attacked our home, you threatened our families, there are no rules anymore." And he was right. We had started a war of extermination. The humans simply finished what we began. He returned to his chair. I was with the third wave. By then, it had been 12 hours. We had lost 400 warriors and had barely penetrated into the station. Our commander ordered everyone to board, all 5,000 of us. He said we would overwhelm them with numbers. I led a unit of 50 warriors into the residential sector. We found it completely destroyed. The humans had collapsed the ceilings. They had torn out the walls. They turned homes into rubble and rubble into cover. We advanced slowly, checking every piece of debris. Then we heard singing. Krelva looked up sharply. Singing? Yes. A human was singing. A woman's voice, clear and strong. She was singing in their language, something about stars and hope. We could not see her. The voice came from somewhere in the rubble. It was beautiful and terrible. Thexnor's voice grew softer. My second in command was a warrior named Vril. He was my friend since training. He wanted to find the singing woman. He thought maybe she was wounded and trapped. He moved toward the sound. The woman stopped singing. She said something in human language, then she laughed, and the entire sector exploded. He touched the scars on his face. The humans had placed charges throughout the residential sector. They collapsed everything. Vril died instantly. 20 other warriors died with him. I survived because I was standing behind a structural beam. When the dust cleared, I saw her. The singing woman. She was crushed under debris, dying. But she was still smiling. She looked at me with her dying eyes and said words I did not understand then. Later, I learned what they meant. What did she say? Krelva asked. She said, "Worth it." 2 words. She died believing that killing 20 of us was worth her own life. That was when I began to understand what we were fighting. Thexnor's whole body trembled now. The battle lasted 32 hours. We lost 1,200 warriors. We wounded another 800. We finally took the station by destroying entire sections from outside with our ship's weapons. We killed everything inside. We showed no mercy because they showed us none. When we entered the command center, we found Captain Daywan. He had fought to the last moment. His body was surrounded by spent weapon charges and empty ammunition containers. He died at his post, defending his home. We found a recording device on his body. It was still running. He had left a message for whoever found him. Krelva leaned forward. What was the message? Thexnor recited it from memory. He would never forget those words. He said, "I am Captain Daywan of Kepler Station. If you are watching this, then I am dead, and you have won. But know this. We are humans. We do not surrender. We do not submit. We do not go gentle into death. We fight. We resist. We make you pay for every step. Tell your leaders. Tell your warriors. Tell your people. Humans will never stop fighting. Never." Then the recording ended. The room was silent except for the sound of rain against the window. "We captured Kepler Station," Thexnor said quietly. But the victory was hollow. We lost 1,200 warriors for one station. Captain Daywan made us pay in blood for every meter. And that was just one battle. There were hundreds more. He looked at Krelva with ancient, tired eyes. That was when I learned what terror truly meant. Thexnor took a long drink of water before continuing. His throat was dry from talking. The memories kept flowing like a river that would never stop. After Kepler Station, the war changed, he said. Or maybe we just finally understood what kind of war we were fighting. The humans stopped trying to meet us in open battle. They turned every world, every station, every ship into another Kepler Station. Krelva adjusted her recording device. How did the Vrexian command respond? With anger at first, then with fear, then with desperation. Thexnor gestured with his remaining arms. The High Council could not understand why the humans would not surrender. We had superior weapons. We had more ships. We controlled more territory. By every logical calculation, we were winning. But you were losing. We were dying, Thexnor corrected. Every victory cost us thousands of warriors. Every planet we invaded became a graveyard. The humans evacuated their civilians and turned their soldiers loose. They fought with a fury we had never seen. He stood and paced again. It helped him remember. I was promoted after Kepler Station. My commander died in the next battle. I became a squadron leader. They gave me 3 ships and told me to capture the human agricultural world of New Jeju. Was it like Kepler Station? Worse, Thexnor said. New Jeju was an entire planet. Farmland and forests and oceans. Beautiful world. The humans had lived there for 50 years. They grew food for a dozen nearby colonies. He stopped at the window. The rain was falling harder now. We thought a farming world would be easy to take. Farmers are not soldiers. We were wrong. The humans on New Jeju were farmers, yes, but they were also colonists. They knew how to survive in harsh conditions. They knew their land. They knew how to fight. What happened? We landed our invasion force in the main settlement. 10,000 warriors. We expected resistance, but we found empty buildings. The humans had vanished into the countryside. We sent scouting parties to find them. Thexnor turned back to Krelva. The humans hunted our scouts. They used farming equipment as weapons. They used their knowledge of the land against us. They set fires in the forest and drove us into ambushes. They poisoned water sources. They destroyed food supplies. They made the planet itself our enemy. I lost half my warriors in the first month. Not to battles, but to raids and ambushes and traps. The humans appeared, struck, and vanished. We could never pin them down, never catch them, never defeat them decisively. He sat down heavily. One night, a human commander named Jae-min contacted us on an open channel. He said he wanted to talk. We were suspicious, but we listened. What did he say? He said, "You can keep landing more troops. You can bomb our cities. You can burn our forests, but we will never stop fighting. This is our home. We have nowhere else to go. Do you understand? You can leave. You have other worlds, but we have only this one. So we will fight until you leave or until every last one of us is dead." Then he cut the connection. Thexnor's mandibles clicked. 2 days later, the humans attacked our main base. 3,000 of them against our fortified position. They should have lost. They did lose, but they killed 800 of my warriors first. The survivors retreated to orbit. New Jeju remained in human hands. How did the High Council react to these defeats? They changed tactics. They decided if the humans would not surrender, they would destroy the humans completely. Total war, no mercy. No prisoners. Extermination. Krelova stopped writing. Extermination? Yes, Thexnor said quietly. The High Council ordered all human worlds to be purged. Kill everyone. Destroy everything. Leave nothing behind. They thought this would break human resistance. Instead, it made humans more determined. He looked at his missing arms again. The humans had a leader. An admiral named Jinho. He commanded their defense forces. When he learned of the extermination order, he responded with something he called Operation Boomerang. What was that? Revenge, Thexnor said simply. The humans had been studying us. They captured our weapons. They examined our ships. They learned our technology. A human scientist named Hyun Woo had been a prisoner in one of our research facilities. He escaped, and he brought detailed knowledge of Rexian technology with him. Admiral Jinho used that knowledge to plan counterattacks. The humans stopped defending. They started attacking. They used our own weapons against us. They copied our shield technology. They stole our stealth systems. They turned our advantages into their advantages. Thexnor walked to the table and leaned on it. I remember the first human counterattack. We were orbiting a supply depot in the outer reaches. Suddenly 3 human ships appeared. But they were not normal human ships. They were using Vrexian stealth fields. We could barely detect them. The human ships attacked with modified Vrexian plasma weapons. They destroyed the depot and vanished before we could respond. We lost 10,000 tons of supplies in 10 minutes, and we never even got a clear sensor reading on the attacking ships. How did that make you feel? Krelva asked. Terrified, Thexnor admitted. Until that moment, we believed our technological advantage would protect us. Suddenly, the humans had the same technology, and they used it better than we did because they were not bound by our tactical doctrine. They were creative, unpredictable, dangerous. He sat back down. The human counterattacks increased. A commander named Bora led a strike force deep into Vrexian territory. She attacked one of our major shipyards. The shipyard was supposed to be impossible to attack. It was heavily defended. It had powerful shields. It had patrol fleets. Commander Bora did not care. She used captured Vrexian technology to slip past the defenses. Her ships looked like Vrexian vessels on our sensors. By the time we realized they were human, it was too late. She destroyed the shipyard and killed 5,000 workers. Then she escaped. Krelva was writing rapidly now. Did you ever face Commander Bora?
No, but I faced others like her.
The humans were learning. They were adapting. Every battle taught them something new. They studied our tactics and found our weaknesses. Meanwhile, we kept using the same strategies that had worked against other species. But humans were not like other species. Thexnor's voice grew bitter. The High Council refused to admit we were losing. They kept sending more fleets. More warriors. More ships. The losses mounted. Tens of thousands dead. Hundreds of ships destroyed. And the humans kept fighting. I remember receiving reports from across the war front. Every report was the same. Heavy casualties. Limited gains. Human resistance increasing. Our commanders were dying faster than we could replace them. Our warriors were exhausted. Our resources were depleting. He looked at Krelva with old sad eyes. But the worst part was the psychological warfare. The humans started broadcasting messages to our ships. They spoke in our language. They read lists of our dead warriors. They showed footage of destroyed Vrexian ships. They played recordings of Rexian prisoners begging for mercy before they were executed. Executed? Krelova looked shocked. Yes. After the extermination order, the humans stopped taking prisoners. They said if we would show no mercy, they would show none. Every Vrexian they captured was killed. They recorded it. They broadcast it. They wanted us to know what awaited us if we lost. Thexnor stood again. The broadcasts worked. Warriors became afraid. Some refused to fight. Some deserted. Some killed themselves rather than face capture. The mighty Vrexian military was breaking, not from military defeat, but from psychological warfare. Then came the ultimate insult. Admiral Jinho sent a message directly to the High Council. It was broadcast on every channel so everyone could hear. He said the humans had captured enough Vrexian technology to build their own advanced warships. He said humans would soon have a fleet equal to ours, and he said when that day came, humans would invade Vrexian territory and show us what total war truly meant. The High Council panicked. They decided on a desperate plan. They would attack Earth itself, the human homeworld. They believed if they destroyed Earth, human resistance would collapse everywhere. Thexnor returned to his chair and sat down slowly. They were wrong, but they did not know that yet. They assembled the largest fleet in Vrexian history. 500 warships, 1 million warriors, every ship we could spare from defending our own territory. And they gave me command of a vanguard battle group. 20 ships, 50,000 warriors. Our job was to break through Earth's defenses and allow the main fleet to attack the planet. He looked at Krelva. I knew it was a mistake. I knew it would be a massacre. But I was a soldier. I followed orders. We departed for the Sol system. The journey took 3 weeks. Every day I prepared my warriors for what awaited them. Every day I wondered if any of us would survive. Every day I thought about Captain Daewon's message. We do not go gentle. His voice dropped to a whisper, and I knew Earth would be worse than anything we had faced before. Thexnor's hands shook as he continued his story. Even after 40 years, the memory of Earth still haunted him. We arrived at the edge of the Sol system on a day that would be marked in Vrexian history forever. 500 warships, the greatest fleet we had ever assembled. We expected to find Earth defended by scattered remnants of their military. We were wrong. He stood and walked to the window again. The rain outside matched his dark mood. The moment we entered the system, every sensor went active. Thousands of automated defense platforms, millions of mines, weapon satellites we could not even count. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Krelva leaned forward. What did your commander order? To advance. We had come too far to retreat. The High Council demanded victory, so we pushed forward into the defensive network, and the humans started killing us immediately. Thexnor turned back to face her. The first wave of mines destroyed 30 ships in the first hour. 30, the mines were smart. They waited until ships were close, then attacked in swarms. Our shields could not stop them all. Our weapons could not shoot them all. They just kept coming. My ship, the Forward Strike, was hit by 7 mines. Our shields collapsed. We lost half our crew, but we kept moving toward Earth. We had no choice. Behind us, the main fleet was taking terrible losses. The automated platforms fired constantly. The humans had positioned weapons throughout the asteroid belt, behind planets hidden in moon bases. Every moment brought new attacks from unexpected directions. He sat down again, his legs weak. We fought our way through the outer system. It took 3 days. We lost 150 ships doing it, but we reached Earth orbit. And that was when we saw what awaited us. What did you see? Everything, Thexnor whispered. Every human ship they had left. Every fighter. Every defense station. Every weapon platform. They had gathered everything around Earth. A commander named Sang-hoon was in charge. He sent us one message, just one. He said, "Welcome to Earth, this is where you die." Then the battle began, and it was like nothing I had ever experienced. Thexnor closed his eyes. The human fighters came first. Thousands of them, small, fast, deadly. They swarmed around our ships like insects. Our point defense weapons fired constantly, but there were too many. They targeted our engines, our weapons, our sensors. They were everywhere. My ship was hit repeatedly. We tried to fight back, but they were too fast. Too small, too many. I watched 3 Vrexian cruisers explode under massed fighter attacks. I watched a dreadnought lose power and drift helplessly into Earth's atmosphere where it burned up. Then came their capital ships. The humans had one dreadnought left. It was called the Indomitable, A captain named Yunji commanded it. That ship fought like 10 ships. It fired from impossible angles. It moved with speed that should have been impossible for something so large. It destroyed ship after ship. He opened his eyes. They were wet again. I was on the bridge when Captain Yunji made her final attack. The Indomitable was badly damaged. Fires burned across its hull. It had lost shields, lost weapons. It should have retreated, but Captain Yunji aimed her ship at our fleet flagship, the Supreme Dominance. She accelerated to maximum speed. We all watched on our screens. We knew what she planned to do. Our flagship tried to evade, but it was too slow. The Indomitable struck the Supreme Dominance at full speed. Both ships exploded. 20,000 warriors died in that moment, including our fleet commander. Dexnor's voice broke. But before the Indomitable hit, Captain Yunji launched all her remaining fighters. Every single one. Even though she knew she was about to die, she made sure her pilots had a chance to live. That was the kind of commander she was. What happened next? Chaos. Without our fleet commander, different ships received different orders. Some advanced. Some retreated. Some just held position. The humans took advantage. They attacked everywhere at once. They were coordinated while we were confused. My ship was crippled. A human fighter pilot named Young-Soo crashed his damaged fighter into our reactor core. We lost power. Lost life support. Lost everything. I ordered evacuation. We got most of the crew into escape pods before the reactor went critical. He touched the scars on his face. My pod crashed on Earth's surface. In the ruins of a human city called Seoul, I survived the crash. 20 other pods landed nearby. We gathered the survivors. We had maybe 200 warriors, all wounded, all exhausted, all terrified. We tried to contact the fleet, but there was too much interference. We were alone on the human homeworld. Enemy territory. We had no weapons except what we carried. No support. No extraction plan. We were trapped. Dexnor stood again. We moved through the ruins, trying to find shelter. Seoul was mostly destroyed by orbital bombardment. Buildings collapsed. Streets cracked. Fires burning everywhere. But we were not alone. There were still humans in the city. Military units, militia, civilians with weapons. They hunted us through the ruins. A sergeant named Tae Yang led the group tracking us. He was relentless, smart, dangerous. He knew the city. We did not. We fought running battles through the streets. We lost warriors every hour. Shot from windows. Attacked from underground passages. Ambushed at every turn. Seoul became our tomb. He sat down and put his head in his remaining hands. I had a friend. A tech specialist named Krill. We trained together. Fought together for 20 years. He saved my life 6 times during the war. On Earth and Seoul, I could not save his. What happened? Krelva asked softly. A building collapsed. Krill pushed me out of the way, but he could not escape. The rubble crushed him. He died slowly. I held him while he bled. His last words were, "We should never have come here." Then he was gone. Dexnor looked up. His face was wet. I lost my closest friend on a world we had no right to invade. For a war we had no reason to fight, and I could do nothing but watch him die. That night I hid in the basement of a destroyed building. I was alone. My warriors were scattered or dead. I was wounded, starving, dying. And I thought about everything that led to that moment. I thought about Captain Dae-Wan and Kepler Station, about Commander Bora and her raids, about Admiral Jin-Ho and his defiance, about Captain Yunji and her sacrifice, about Sergeant Tae Yang hunting us through Seoul. And I understood something I should have understood years ago. The humans were not like other species. They did not fight for conquest or glory or resources. They fought for survival, for their homes, for their families, for each other. He stood and walked to the window one last time. The next morning, Sergeant Tae Yang found me. He had 3 soldiers with him. I was too weak to fight. I expected them to kill me. I deserved it after everything we had done. But Sergeant Tae Yang did not kill me. He looked at me and said something I did not understand. Later, I learned the words. He said, "The war is ending. No more death today." Then he gave me water and bandaged my wounds. I asked him why. "Why spare an enemy?" He said, "Because I am tired of killing. Because you cannot fight anymore. Because mercy is stronger than revenge." Then he helped me to an evacuation point where human medics treated Rexian wounded. Dexnor turned back to Krelva. That same day, General Sang-hoon broadcast a message across all channels. The humans had activated a doomsday weapon, something that would destroy Earth completely. They would detonate it in 1 hour unless we withdrew all forces and agreed to peace negotiations. Did you believe them? Yes, Thexnor said immediately. After everything I saw, after everything I experienced, I knew humans would do it. They would destroy their own homeworld rather than surrender. That was who they were. That was what we never understood. The surviving Vrexian commanders withdrew. The fleet retreated. The ground forces evacuated. We left Earth orbit with less than half the ships we arrived with. 200,000 warriors dead. Hundreds of ships destroyed. The greatest military defeat in Vrexian history. And the humans had won by being willing to die for their world. He sat down one final time. That was the Battle of Earth. That was where I learned the final lesson of the war. Some species cannot be conquered because their spirit cannot be broken. Some wars cannot be won because the price is too high. Some enemies should never be made because they will never stop fighting. The war ended 3 months later, but the real story begins with the peace. Krelva turned off the recording device. We should rest. This has been difficult. No, Thexnor said firmly. I need to finish. You need to hear what happened after. That is the most important part. He looked at her with ancient, tired eyes full of painful wisdom. Let me tell you about the peace we did not deserve, and the forgiveness we did not earn.